Human capital, people. Our greatest resource on our planet are our people, ourselves and the people around us. And we are actually not maximizing in any way all that we can do with the capacity of ourselves and the people around us. And so that's what this webinar is about today. We're going to be talking about how to have peak performance, maximizing what we can do with the capital of who we are. My name is Warren Sager, and I am a business coach at Assured Strategy. And I'm excited to help share with you some of the tools we use to help the leaders that we work with in the companies that we help scale to really maximize their own effectiveness as leaders and help scale the people that work for them and with them to help them grow. So I don't want to waste any time. I'm just going to jump right in with what I consider one of the most powerful tools we use to help leaders see and understand what's going on with their capacity and abilities to make things happen.
Warren, you're muted.
Okay, sorry about that, folks. Don't know what happened. So this is the drama triangle. And this is a tool used in psychology to help people overcome some of the challenges that they're facing. And this is the assured strategy version of this that we use to help people understand what's going on within their world. So I want to walk you through what's going on here and what this is showing. But basically, you see this is a triangle, and inside the triangle is red, and then outside the triangle is green. And what's going on is inside our own relationships, typically we are either the persecutor, the rescuer, or the victim. And this is playing out all the time inside our own heads and then outside with other people. You're having a conversation with someone and you say, hey, I think you need to do this a little different. Well, what's going on there? That's making you come across to them like the persecutor. You're trying to push your will or thoughts on them. What are they feeling like? They're feeling like the victim. Oh, why are they doing this to me? And then that victim, then what do they sometimes do? They sometimes go to somebody at the next desk in the next office and complain or whine about it. And then that person then becomes the rescuer. Oh, I take that problem on. I'm going to help you. And yes, oh man, why are they doing that? That happens. But sometimes also the victim then gets upset that somebody is doing something to them. And then what do? They retaliate back to the persecutor. And now the victim becomes the persecutor and the persecutor becomes the victim. And this cycle where you're criticizing, you're judging, you're condemning, this is going on all the time in a lot of situations we're dealing with. Now, the way I described it is you with somebody else. But guess what? You're also doing this with yourself. In fact, typically somebody's worst enemy is themselves. How many times are you speaking in your own head? Oh, why did you do that? You screwed that up, or you could have done that better. And then you're like, oh, yeah, but, and then you now kind of, are the rescuer to your own self, or you feel like the victim and then you persecute. This is going on inside your heads and with people around you all the time. It takes a tremendous amount of energy. And guess what? Being in the red is not serving us well. So what I'm going to encourage you to do is try to stay out of the red part of the triangle and get outside to the green. What does the green look like? The green is curiosity. Instead of judging, criticizing, and condemning, we need to ask more questions. Oh, that didn't go the way I wanted it to. Why did that happen? Or, oh boy, I think that could have been done better. What could I have done better? So all of a sudden now you're not condemning or criticizing. You're asking questions. You're learning, you're growing, and trying to get better information to make sure that you are not actually, screwing yourself over by saying and thinking things that aren't really healthy. Ask curiosity questions. This works within your own mind for yourselves, but even more importantly, when we're working with other people. If you're in a position of leadership and you're going ahead and talking to someone that reports to you and they didn't do something right, instead of saying, what happened here? Why didn't you do it that way? Or why aren't you doing it the way that we want to? You're kind of trying to be curious, but you're really not. You're persecuting. And then the person's going to feel like the victim. So what you want to do is be really open and ask curiosity questions. Hey, is this the way we normally do things? Or hey, are you aware of the checklist we have to make sure this needs to get done a certain way? And by staying in the green, staying with curiosity, what happens is now you're not a persecutor, you're holding people accountable in a respectful way because you're just challenging. Doesn't mean that you're not holding them accountable, just in a respectful way. People then don't become victims because instead of feeling like the victim, you feel like the creator thriver. I'm empowered. I have the ability to change the circumstances, to get what I need, to get what I want, to make happen what I want to see happen. I'm not a victim of my circumstances. And then if there is a rescuer, instead of feeling like a rescuer, you still can, it's not like you're going to say, oh, whatever, it's not my problem. No, you can coach that you're going to help support someone to get them to see how they can get to a resolution on their own by coaching them, not rescuing, by being a creator thriver and not being a victim, and to challenge and not persecute. And this is how you stay in the green and get out of the red. Because if you judge, if you criticize, if you condemn, if you jump to conclusions, you're staying in the red, and this isn't healthy. And again, I want to point out this is happening in many dynamics with the relationships all the time. But more importantly, I want you to think about you because the greatest persecutor that most people have is themselves, that they're persecuting themselves and they're really not helping themselves or serving themselves well by really being that hard on themselves. So this is the drama triangle, and it's a really powerful tool to help see how you guys can have a healthier dynamic and get to where you want to go without making it hard on yourself. Stay in the green, not in the red. So let me talk to you about what typically is another tool that we use called the disc profile. Uh, I don't know if you guys have ever done a disc profile. There's others out there, Myers-Briggs and Predictive Index, and there's quite a few actually. But these are our assessments of your behaviors and your personality to help give you insights about yourself. So I highly encourage you, if you haven't done one of these, to do these for yourself and for maybe people on your team and your company. We actually have some programs that we can offer you if it's something you're interested in. Get with me after the webinar. But the whole idea is, again, so you want to have awareness about the fact that you're staying in the green, not the red. And how do you do that? By understanding your strengths and weaknesses and being clear about your behaviors, because there are things that you're doing all the time that aren't serving you well. We get so caught up in our normal thinking and our normal habits, the way we do things, and sometimes it's not healthy. And so to have peak performance, you've got to have more awareness of your strengths and weaknesses. And what we teach our clients is you want to leverage your strengths. You want to know what those strengths are and you want to rely on them because those strengths are your superpowers. These are the things that make you awesome and make you able to accomplish so much more. On the weakness side, and we all have weaknesses, right? We are not perfect. We are human beings. We have weaknesses. But um, we don't, what we teach folks is you don't want to try to fix your weaknesses. They're part of you. You ever heard of, yin and yang? We're a whole person. And typically what we share with folks is when you are trying to work on fixing a weakness, your weaknesses are kind of tied to your strengths. It's an integrated thing. And if you actually work hard enough to fix one of your weaknesses, you're probably going to also diminish some of your strength on the other side at the same time. So what we tell folks is you want to leverage your strengths and you want to just become more aware of your weaknesses. Aware. You can't fix them. You want to be aware. So when you're in your weakness and you're aware of it, you can then get out of that weakness by switching to a strength. And what we also teach our teams that we work with is this is why we want to share some of these disc profiles and other things like that with our team. It's not just for ourselves, it's for everyone around us. Because if you have a healthy and aligned team and you care about your people and your people care about you, when they see you in your weakness, because they know your weakness, because we've shared these disc profiles with our team, then they could point it out to you. Hey, remember your weakness about, taking on too much and not saying no? Yeah, you're kind of doing that right now. Oh, wow. Thank you for bringing that to my attention. You're right. I am doing that. I do that all the time. Thank you for bringing that to my attention. So, it's really important to be thinking about how to have awareness of what's going on around you and what your strengths and weaknesses are, and through something like a disc profile or some of the other assessments out there. Okay, leads me to my next thing, which is defense mechanisms. When somebody shares with you what they think weakness you're in, it's so normal for humans to get defensive. I'm not doing that, or why are you saying that? We get defensive. It's a normal human reaction. Why is that? Well, guess what? We're built to survive. And when we get into any sort of fear mode or we feel we're being attacked, physically or emotionally, we get defensive. It's a normal thing. And so, what I want to share with you is what are some of the normal defense mechanisms that we all experience. So, again, you could be more aware of them. And you're not going to make them go away. That's not the point. The point is, as quickly as possible, say, oh, yep, I'm being defensive. Or someone might even point it out to you, you're being defensive. And you could take a second to think it through and go, yes, I am being defensive. And get to the other side of the defense and get to a place where you're now like open and responsive to what's being said to you. Because hopefully, if somebody's saying something to you, it's not because they want to hurt you or be mean or nasty. It's because they care and they want to share with you something you need to hear. So, defense mechanisms, what are they? The most common ones are denial. I didn't do that. That wasn't me. Indifference. And this one, how this usually comes across is, yeah, whatever, or, well, yeah, I don't care. Minimization. Oh, it's not really that bad, or yeah, not a big deal. Minimization. Justification. Well, I did it because that's how we did it last time, right? Or all sorts of other ways to justify what you're saying or doing. Projection, which is, no, no, that was Mary. Mary did that, not me. Blaming it on someone else. Self-pity. Oh man, I screw this stuff up all the time. Oh gosh, that's having self-pity. And then the last one is strong emotion, which is somebody just starts yelling and screaming or crying or showing strong emotion. A lot of times when they do that, all it is defense. They're trying to protect their own emotions by attacking somebody else in theirs. So you got to be aware of what these defense mechanisms are when you're in them. More importantly, when you see other people in them, and accept it for what it is, a normal human emotion. But the key is not to stay there. You want to get past the defense and get to hearing what's really going on. And therefore, you can move to a more productive and valuable thinking and get to the results you're looking for. So that brings us back to this triangle. Judgment and criticism and defenses, all plays together. Again, I want to remind you that staying in the red is not healthy. And what's happening sometimes is when you're in the red and somebody else is trying to be in the green, it's so easy to pull people into the red with you because the red is usually more powerful than the green. So, but when you're in the green and other people are in the green with you, the power that creates is just so much stronger. So stay in the green and work towards trying to get out of the red when you find yourself there. Okay, so up to this point, I've been talking exclusively about you. And that's what a lot of this is all about is you, because the power of you is important. What is it that you can control in this world? I will argue that the only thing you really have control of is you. And so the ability for you to do so is really, really important because that's where the magic happens. There's so much uh, power in what you can control for yourself. And guess what you can't control? Everybody and everything else. So it's so important to focus on the power of you and what you can think, keeping yourself in the green, keeping yourself focused on your strengths, minimizing your weaknesses by staying in your strengths, trying not to be defensive. This is what this is all about. So as leaders, we need to do this for ourselves. We can do this to also show leadership to our teams. And there's just so much power in staying in a really strong, healthy place. The power of you. You can control you. Now, having said that, we're still usually working with other people. We don't live in a bubble. We're not all by ourselves. And so even though we can control ourselves, and that's what I was trying to explain is the best ways to hopefully focus the power of controlling yourself, we have teams we work with. And so I'm going to spend a little bit of time now talking about the teams and how we can work with teams, and more specifically, the people that report to us and how we can help them be empowered to greatness and to have peak performance. Before I move on, I'll take a half a second break here, take a sip of water, and I am open to any questions. So if you have a burning question, please take yourself off mute and share it. All right. Well, if anytime you do, feel free to interrupt me. It's totally fine. So as leaders, we have to work with our team members and help them accomplish their goals. And so what typically happens though is, are we impacting our team, our talent in the best way possible? So I want to share with you kind of the levels of impact that you can have, and be thinking about this on how well you're doing this with your team. So the starting level that we work with is directing, right? Somebody works for you and you're going to direct them. Hey, I need you to do X, Y, and Z. That's direction. And that is at the lowest level of leadership, because you're just telling them what you need them to do and they're doing it. Then we go to advising, where you're not now, you're doing a little less directing and a little bit more of giving them some parameters and advising them that what they can do. So that's the kind of the next level of leadership and helping the talent accomplish more things. So then we move up the scale to teaching. So now that's when you're putting on a little bit more of a leadership hat, and you're coaching your team by teaching them things that you know that they don't know, so they will have a better understanding. And let me stop right here because I want to use an example. For hopefully those of you that have little kids, this will really resonate with you. But little kids, they're learning all the time. And they ask a lot of, especially at a certain age, they ask a lot of why questions. Oh, I need you to brush your teeth. Why? Well, we want you to have healthy teeth. Well, why? So those why questions, that's because they're trying to learn. And as teachers, as parents, what we're trying to do is we impart knowledge on them so they have a better understanding about the actions and why they should take them. So that's what teaching is. So you want to create more teaching opportunities and explain things in a little bit more level of deep detail. So that's working up the coaching scale of leadership. Now we get all the way up to mentoring. So I hope all of you at some point in your life have had a great mentor in whatever it is that you're really trying to accomplish. And you all know that a great mentor is such a valuable person to have in your life, because you're really helping them see what they need to see to really move ahead. And as leaders, we want to be thinking more about mentoring our team. You could start with directing, then you're working yourself to advising, then you go up to teaching, and now we get up to mentoring. And now the highest level of impact is in coaching. And that's where you let people figure things out by asking questions, challenging them, giving them the tools and resources they need to be successful, being a servant leader to them. All these things play into being a great coach leader, but you're just not telling them what to do. You're just not giving them the information. You're having them learn and grow and giving them the resources they need to be successful. And if you can build an organization where you're a coach leader, the impact that you will have on them will be tremendous. And guess what also happens in the process? You as a leader have way more time and energy to devote to the bigger overarching things you're trying to accomplish. If as a leader, every day you finish the day and go, geez, I did not accomplish all the things that I needed to do today. Well, you need to think about, okay, what's going on there? If you are spending a lot of time answering questions for your people, and you think, oh, I'm doing a great job as a leader. I'm supporting and helping my team. Yeah, but are you coaching them or are you just directing them or answering their questions? Because if you've got a revolving door of people coming in and out of your office asking you questions, then that should be a red flag to think, well, maybe I'm not really giving enough time and attention to coaching my people, giving them the tools and resources. Am I mentoring? Am I really helping them have the impact? Because in the end, you want them to be able to think for themselves and do what they know they need to do for themselves, not just relying on you. And think about that. If that happens at the highest level, you now have all sorts of time to be thinking way more proactively. You could be working on more of the leadership things that you want to do to help impact the business, not getting caught up in the weeds of the day-to-day things. That's what the team is for. As leaders, you want to be thinking how I can get outside of that and really impact my team and the company in a more proactive way. So this is how you should start thinking about, you as the leader and your team as the talent. And are you really, maximizing your abilities as a leader to coach them so they can be the team that they can be? All right, any questions before we move forward? Okay, so one of the things that we hear all the time is there's not enough accountability with our team. And that means that, people are not doing all the things they need to do. And it's really kind of uncomfortable to think about, well, how do I hold them accountable? So one way people as leaders hold people accountable is then they're just a little bit too demanding. You didn't do this, you didn't do this, why didn't you do that? And these become uncomfortable conversations. And people get a little, as a leader, you don't want to create these uncomfortable conversations and you don't want to make people feel bad. You care about your team. So it's like, well, how do I have accountability? How do I have the right conversations? How do I hold people accountable and do that in a way that creates a win-win for everyone? So this tool here I want to share with you is called the ABC Matrix. And it is the simplest, easiest to execute performance coaching tool that we've ever seen. And this is what I want to teach you how to use it. So it's real simple. Let me show you what's here. We have a basic matrix. On the left side here, we have core values. These are the behavioral rules that help guide a team and a company through everything that they do. Great companies have great core values and they bring them alive and live them within the company. So my question to you is, do you have core values for your team and for your company? You really need to if you don't, and we can help you with that if you feel challenged to do so. But if you think about some of the greatest companies in the world, the companies that you respect, the companies that have the greatest value out there in the world, if you talk to their leadership, most of them will say that one of the secret sauces, the values that help create, what makes them a great company, are their core values. They're that foundational, that important. One of the first things we do when we start working with teams to help them scale their businesses is we help them get really clear on what those core values are. Because when you work with a team and the team gets bigger and bigger, you cannot control every action that everyone's doing all the time. And you can't create processes that spell out every little minutia detail about everything. And you can't be chasing everyone around all the time. So what helps guide everyone to know what to do when they're not sure what to do? That's what core values do. So anyway, on the left here, on this axis is core values. On this axis here is productivity. And the whole idea is productivity. What does that mean? Well, that's what it is they actually need to accomplish in their job. Does everyone in your organization have clear KPI, key performance indicator measurements of productivity? Would they know at the end of the day or at the end of the week or at the end of the month, hey, I'm killing it. I did a great job because here's what's expected of me, and I'm meeting those expectations. But not subjectively. They need to be very objective, black and white. What is it? And can I measure it? And am I doing it or am I not doing it? So I hope that you can see when you think about the matrix here, core values and productivity. That's really all there is to anyone being successful at a job. If they are being productive and living the core values, they could be what's called an A player, somebody that's performing at the highest level. And that's what we love is to have more A players in our companies. And so the goal is how do you work people up on the core value scale and over on the productivity so they can be A players. And then, of course, everyone can't be an A player. You're going to have B players, BC players, and you can even have some C players. So the goal is let people recognize, this and work towards being an A player. So I'm going to actually teach you how to use this matrix all the way through so you can really understand what to do with it. Okay, so step one is you want to explain these core values and productivity scale to the folks that you're talking to. And I want to point out here, if somebody was 100% productive and 100% core values, then this would be the box that they're in. If they were 80% productive and 80% core values, then they'd be somewhere right around here, right? So it's, 10%, 20, 30, 40, 50, all the way across. So you want to explain to them, hey, this is the scale we're measuring based on how well you're understanding and living the core values and how well they're doing in their productivity for their specific position. Of course, it's really hard to have the conversation with someone on this if it's not clear what their productivity is and if it's not clear that you have core values and they know what they are. So that's your job, right? Your job is to make sure they understand those things. Okay, so step two, you want to ask the employee to place a dot on the grid where they think they are in their core values and productivity. They just put a dot. Real simple. Very, very quick and easy. Step three. Now you as the leader, you're going to put a dot where you see where they are. And I'm going to show you this in a second. Um, and then you start the conversation. There's a gap. Usually there's a gap. And then there's a conversation. What do they see? What do you see? And you're just talking. So all the goal of this tool is to help create a conversation around getting alignment as to where you see them and where they see themselves and how to work from being wherever they are towards being an A player. And as you can see, this is really simple to put together, right? I don't know what kind of performance evaluations you've done in the past. I know some of the companies that I've worked for many years ago, you'd have to sit down with a 2 or 3 page form. You have to do a lot of writing, takes a lot of thinking. And, is it really even as impactful as being simply as where are you and where do you think you are and where do I think you are? Okay, so that's step four. Step five, once you have that conversation, now you just make a plan on what it is that you want to do different. And X to Y by when, start, stop, keep. These are other tools that we don't have time to cover in this webinar today, but these are tools that help support the action plan as to what to do next, because that's what you want, right? You want them to move up. They want to move up the scale, and it needs to have clarity on what do they actually have to do, turning the discussion into action. And what we typically do is we just take the performance coaching form, just turn it over, and on the back is a blank piece of paper, and just start writing what it is that we're talking about and what those things are that you're thinking about. So you just want to document it, and then when you're done, you want to get a commitment from them. Yep, this makes sense. This is the plan. This is what we're going to do. And then you could do whatever you need to do with that document, right? You could just keep it as notes for yourself and them. So the next time you meet with them, you can just review the progress and where you're going. If it's more important or more serious, you might want to put it in an HR file. Or it can become part of a performance improvement plan, if it's something more severe that you think, they have to really work through and there's some accountability to fix it, or they might ultimately have to leave the company. So this is such a wonderful tool. So let me explain to you what typically happens, or through our experiences, what we see happen. So we've got somebody in our organization, and we said we're following the steps, and we say, please tell us where you think you are. And this is typically what happens. They put themselves there. This is an A player, and they put themselves there because they're here. This is where A players usually put themselves. A players usually diminish their own abilities. They're usually very humble, and you have to then put them here and explain to them and show them all the ways that they're doing a great job, and really kind of encourage them, support them, and give them the love and they need to help continue to be an A player. But we don't always have A players. What typically happens is you have somebody that's going to do this. They're going to put themselves here as an A player. And you, as their leader, are going to put them down here. And now you need to have that uncomfortable conversation about what it is that they need to focus on to become A players or work towards, working up. Uh, but it's all about having a great conversation. If you care about your team and you want them to be more successful, you can't let them be down here and not communicate to them what's going on. They need to know. It's not fair to them. It's not fair to you. It's definitely not fair to your organization. It's not fair to the people around them that they get to play on your team and not be performing at the level that's expected. Either it's core values or it's productivity, or it's a combination of both. I will tell you that a couple things to keep in mind is that core values is usually very serious, and either people have them or they don't. So if you have people that are not performing because of core values, you can teach productivity because you just give them the tools, resources, and help them if they just don't know or just not there yet. But it's hard to teach core values if they understand them and don't want to follow them or play with them. So that will help, make decisions about where they're going to be. Um, Also, we find that um, these conversations can happen way more frequently than you think. So if you're having a performance evaluation once a year, once every 6 months. No, 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 no. People need to know where they stand way more regularly than that. So I've seen this tool used as often as once a week. Now, that's probably only in the early stages of someone's development. So they just need to very quickly get feedback on where they are. Or somebody that's really, underperforming and it's really serious and they need to get up to speed very fast. So then you would do it once a week, maybe once a month. Probably more common is to use this tool once a quarter. But anytime you feel the need to have a great conversation, to give the feedback you need to give to your team to make sure they know where they're performing well and where they're not, this is a great tool to pull out, and it creates a great conversation and ultimately leads to the good feedback to get people going from where you want them to be and to get to where they want to go. All right, does anyone have any questions about this ABC matrix tool? Okay, so moving on. So what have we done so far? One is we said, hey, as leaders, as people, we need to be the best leaders we can be. So why are we not the best leaders? Typically because we're playing games in our own heads and being our own persecutor and really sometimes, hurting our own thoughts, beliefs, and abilities to get things done. So we got to get out of that mindset and get to a green place, a happy place where we're being more of the creator thriver and we're not being in the red. So then it's like, okay, we're also humans and we get defensive. We got to get out of defense and get back to a healthier place where we say, okay, I hear what's being said. Let me figure out how to take that information and leverage it to my strengths. That's us. Now we're like, okay, as leaders, what are we doing with our team? Well, we need to help them see the things they need to see. and we need to help them through their defenses, and we need to help them be better in their positions. And this is a great tool to do that. So now I want to take it to a higher level, which is for people to really be successful in an organization and in their role, they have to really understand the part that they play. So this is a tool from Scaling Up. Scaling Up is a business scaling system that I'm actually a certified coach in, and a lot of the coaches at Assured Strategy are as well. And this is a great system to help you understand how to scale your company, what the company is doing, what the team is doing, and everyone gets alignment towards working towards the same common goal. How do you get from here to where you're going? Well, it starts by knowing where it is you're going. And so that's what this tool is. And I don't have time to go over all the details of what's in this tool today, but I want to share at the highest level how we use this tool. So I work for company ABC. As an employee of ABC, it's really helpful for me to understand the values of ABC. I talked about that in that ABC matrix just a minute ago. I need to understand the values, what it is that's expected of me, the behavioral rules that help guide me in what I do every day. We also have what's called a purpose. Boy, all great companies have purposes. Why does this company exist? What are we trying to do in the world? What value are we creating? It's so important to know what that is, and it helps really guide you. If you work for a company and their purpose is, we're going to make $100 million. Okay, that could be a purpose, but boy, does that sound like something that's really exciting and motivating and something you really want to get behind? Maybe not, but if you like want to, help feed the planet, wow, that's a purpose that a lot of people can get behind. So having a purpose is really, really important for a company. And then brand promise, what is it that we are promising to our customer? And this isn't necessarily something you're publishing, but it is something internally that everyone knows we're here to do this for our customer. What is it we're trying to deliver? And we know every day we're focused on what it is we're delivering. This is our promise to you, customer, that we're going to deliver this to you. And this final box here is called BHAG. BHAG stands for Big, Hairy, Audacious Goal. If you look this up in Scaling Up, it represents a 10 to 30 year big, big, big goal that you want to accomplish for your company. And the reason it's created is that it's kind of like this shining star. You have no idea how you're going to get there, but boy, if you at least are guiding towards that, it'll help you make sure you're staying in the right direction. Did you ever hear the old saying, I'm going to shoot for the stars and I'll be great if I hit the moon? Well, that's kind of what, BHAG is all about, that at least you're working, towards where you want to go, and it kind of gives you that shining light, that direction to stay focused on. So all of these four boxes here are the foundation of a company. And if as a company you have these four, and as a member of the ABC company, I know what these are, wow, what a huge head start I now have. At least I know the company I work for, what do I have to do? What do they believe in? What are we trying to accomplish? Where are we going? If everyone actually knows that, it's a lot easier for us to all row and work towards the same goal if we know what that goal is. So that's the first part of this vision summary, is having that real clarity on these points. Okay, so this is all high level, big picture stuff. So the second section here is all about the specific strategic priorities, our goals. Okay, so this is ultimately where we want to be, but what are we trying to accomplish in 3 years? Oh, we want to open our 5th store. We're going to have, 20 locations. We want to employ, 30 CPAs in our accounting firm. Very specific and clear priorities for 3 years. And then what is the 1 year priority? What are the things specific to 1 year? That'll go to 3 years. And then quarterly. Most of the coaching that we do with teams, we do these quarterly sprints. It's so much easier to be very focused on a quarter, which is roughly 13 weeks. Hey, what do we need to do in these 13 weeks that are the most important projects and things to accomplish for the company? And if we accomplish those things, are they working towards the goals we have for the 1 year? And if we accomplish those things, Are they working towards the goals we have for the 3 year? And then ultimately, are this working towards our ultimate BHAG and purpose and what we're trying to do as an organization? So now hopefully you could start to see this all starting to come together. You want to have a great performing team. Everyone needs to know what the win looks like. This is the big win. These are the actions we need to be focused on so we can know we're winning and that it keeps showing us that we're getting up on the board and we're working further and further towards where we want to go. Okay, now we get to the interesting stuff here at the bottom. These are the accountability goals for me. Okay, this is the big picture for the company. This is the specific details for the company. This is me. What is my role, my little piece to help make all this happen? If I know what I need to do and I know how it fits within what the company's trying to accomplish, there's a lot of synergy and power in making that happen. So I hope you can now see that this vision summary helps bring together a real clear action plan for me as an employee and understanding it within the framework of what everyone else is trying to do. Because there's nothing worse than an employee doing a job and they don't know why they're doing it. And they don't understand how it fits in with the big picture. And the worst thing is they don't see how what they're doing is making an impact. How do you want to have peak performance? You want to make sure that everyone knows that what they do is playing an important role in what the whole company's doing towards this bigger mission to do something amazing in the world. That's how you help create peak performance. Okay, does anyone have any questions about what we've talked about so far? All right. Seriously, don't be shy. I really want to help with whatever I can. And feel free if you don't want to ask a question here, that's okay. I'm going to share with you my contact information towards the end, and I'm going to be happy to answer any and all questions. I will share with you the purpose of Assured Strategy, the firm that I'm a part of, and why I do what I do. I hope I can convey that I'm not here just to give a webinar about peak performance. I am, but I hope you can feel the passion in my voice. Like I really care about this. And why is this important? Because it goes back to the purpose of why I'm here as a coach and what Assured Strategy does as a firm, which is guiding leaders through change to find their freedom. I don't know what your freedom is, but you do. And for you to get from where you are to that freedom and guide you through the change to get there, it's so amazing because as I started this presentation talking about this whole idea of is that human capital is the greatest resource we have as a civilization, and we're not maximizing it. There's so much time and energy wasted in drama, wasted in getting stuck in our own heads, wasted in people not being able to realize all their capacity because no one's shared with them what they need to know, been honest with them, given them the leadership, coach them. So these are just important topics. So I hope that these tools and some of what I'm saying is challenging you to do that for yourselves and do that for your teams. Because when this all lines up really well, it's amazing what you can accomplish. It's an interesting example I want to use, but so Elon Musk, and I know he is a dynamic leader that is a little bit controversial in certain ways. But the point I want to make about him is he is the CEO of many multi-billion-dollar companies. And for a lot of the CEOs that we work with, that is the CEO for one company that's maybe 10, $20 million. And they struggle every day to accomplish things to create more value. So what's the difference there? I would argue that somebody like Elon Musk is leveraging the power of what I've been teaching you guys today. This idea of getting everyone aligned to a big purpose, giving them the knowledge and information to be successful, coaching them to greatness. Because it's with a team and great leaders, you could accomplish so much more. And if you're stuck every day just trying to get through the day and get through the day, and every so often you think, man, I know I could get more done, but I'm stuck. Part of what I'm teaching you today, hopefully, these are the things that are causing you to be stuck. And I'm sharing with you some ways to think about things differently and some tools to help guide you so you can get out of that mindset and get to a place of stronger leadership where you can have peak performance for yourself and peak performance for the team around you. So I could sit and talk about this all day, as you can probably imagine, but this is enough for you to digest for the moment. But I do want to share with you, we've got at Assured Strategy, we have so many other great events coming up. Most of them are free. Some of them have a small nominal fee, like the workshops. But we want you to keep the learning, keep growing, keep challenging yourself as a leader. So these are the webinars and workshops that we have coming up as a company. And I encourage you to sign up for them and keep challenging yourself, keep learning. When you learn, you grow. So you can hopefully keep becoming the leader that you know you want to be. We're all human. We're all on a path to some place, and we all want to learn and grow. So consider coming to these events. You can go to our events page, assuredstrategy.com/events, where we have all the events. Sign up from all of them. Just like you got emailed today about the event that you signed up for, sign up for the ones even way in the future. And then as they get closer, we'll remind you about them. And then hopefully you'll come to those and if time permits and hopefully keep learning and growing. We want to be a resource. That's why we do these webinars, because we care about leaders. We care about people getting to where they want to go and finding their freedom for whatever that means for them. So again, my name is Warren Sager. I'm one of the business coaches here at Assured Strategy. Here is my email address, and here is my cell phone number. And I encourage you to reach out and use it. We're here to help. We're here to support. And I would love to help you as a leader or your team in any way we can to get to where you want to go and find your freedom. All right. Does anyone have any questions about anything I covered today? Okay. Well, thank you all for your time. I hope this was impactful and helpful for you. And I appreciate you coming and keep learning, keep growing, and keep scaling. Thanks.